2024 PGA Merchandise Show Demo Day in Orlando, Florida. Tom Brassel for Worldwide Golf. Joining us, Casey Shultz from Cleveland Srixon Zexio. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
2024, a big year. We want to go through some of the products,
for sure.
what all's new, but first take. What do you see around? How cool is this?
Oh, it's exciting. Yeah, the 360 range, all the brands. It's always a fun time of the year.
Yeah. Another thing we wanted to touch on briefly is technology and the leap in technology.
For sure.
We'll talk about some of these as we go through product by product. But again, if you have not upgraded your technology in say 3 to 5 years, your clubs, anything, you're missing out. You want to take the chance, get out here, hit some of this stuff, go into our Worldwide Golf retail locations and take a look at some of the new gear that's out there, specifically here with Cleveland Srixon. I'll let you take it. Let's take it from Cleveland.
Perfect. Yeah, let's start with the driver. So the new Launcher XL2 is basically a replacement for what was the last generation Launcher XL. And we've taken what was already a forgiving driver and upgraded just about everything in it. So for the first time in a Cleveland driver, we've got an AI-driven face. That's our mainframe XL face. So that's going to be ball speed all the way across the face, and a driver that's really designed for forgiveness, right? It's allowing us to save mass and also use that same AI technology to position that weighting around the perimeter to maximize that MOI and overall create a driver that no matter where you're striking the ball, we're going after a player who might not always hit the dead center of the face.
Well, you said AI technology, and that's important, right?
Oh, for sure.
World. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, you're getting a driver model that's going to really help you on all those strikes and find the fairway and go further and have more success. This time around, it's offered in 2 different models. We've got the standard version as well as the draw model, which is going to come with a little bit of lighter weight components and be a little bit more draw biased, as is in the name, right? For players who struggle to keep the ball out of the right side of the fairway or the right side of the trees, more likely.
Yeah.
And both are offered this time around in adjustable hosels. So 9.0 to 12 degree lofts are going to be available for both models.
Gotcha. Name I've been hearing a lot is Halo. Talk about Halo.
Yeah. So that's going to be in our fairway woods and hybrids, actually, so we can move on to those. But our Halo XL line is going to feature really technology that's designed for those clubs in the bag. So here at Cleveland, we're not really just taking a driver technology and kind of watering it down or putting it into the other clubs. We're using whatever technology makes the most sense for each of those clubs into that specific model. So for our Halo XL fairway woods, hybrids, and Highwood, which we'll get to what a Highwood is in just a bit, we're putting technologies like our high bore crown, which is going to lower that center of gravity, which is really helpful when you're hitting it off the surface. Not something featured on a driver that you hit off the tee, but when you're hitting a ball, off the turf with a fairway wood or a hybrid, that higher launch is really going to be important. And things like our glide rail technology, which you can visually see on the bottom of each of these clubs, that's really going to help that turf interaction, ensuring that you hit a little bit behind the ball, no issue. Your club's still going to glide straight through that turf, not lose any club head speed, maintain that accuracy, and overall get that more consistent performance that you're looking for, even if you strike it a little bit inconsistently, which we know some players do.
Now, when you guys test these, what kind of feedback were you getting on the Halo versus the prior line? Because I'm sure it's been incredible.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the Halo line has really maximized the forgiveness with that mainframe XL face being added for the first time, AI face in an entire line, as well as just focusing on this time around ensuring players that they're fitting into the right type of club. So we've got all of this forgiveness technology, large heads, everything, but when it comes to fitting a player into the right type for their game, it's always been a little bit of a challenge. Say you can't hit a 5-iron or a 6-iron.
Right.
What do you want to replace that with? Is it a 5 hybrid? Is it your buddy hits his 9-wood? Great. Is that what you should be playing? So we're trying to add resources to make that as easy as possible. So online fitting selector, that'll give you a quiz that in store you can make a decision on what you need to be purchasing and move forward with that proper line. Right to the side of you, we've got this Halo XL fitting bag, which is going to be really helpful in giving fitters resources to put as many different types of clubs, even a 7 hybrid, into a player's hands to physically hit before actually making that purchase. So whatever the trouble area of your bag is, if it's a 5-iron that you can't hit, if it's you always stuff your 3-wood, we have options including the brand new Highwood, which I touched on earlier.
Yeah, let's go into Highwood.
Yeah. So this is going to be a combination between a fairway wood and a hybrid. So it's a little bit longer than your typical hybrid, but that same sort of hybrid type, iron-like swing is what we like to call it, that you're more comfortable with. Say your 5 hybrids, your most comfortable club in the bag, but you really don't get along with that fairway wood. You finally have a solution to hit something hopefully as far as that fairway wood, but with more of that control and that swing type you're using with your hybrid so consistently already.
So this is somebody who doesn't have a go-to club.
Correct.
In that distance, this is your go-to club,
For
right?
sure.
Yeah.
And if you really struggle with that fairway wood, the Highwood is just going to be a great option. We know so many players, right? You get that maybe 1 out of 10 times you crush it and it almost gets on that par 5, but the other times you're duffing it across the ground or into the water or what have you. Get that club out of your bag and get something you can hit more consistently from that yardage, and likely still get a very similar distance performance with the Highwood, which we now offer in a 3+ and a 4+ loft.
So we got drivers, fairways, hybrids, Highwoods.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, we've got some brand new irons this generation as well. So we can start with the Halo XL Full Face irons. So that's going to be an industry first full face grooves on an iron. Really designed for the player who struggles on consistency with their irons, can benefit from all the technology we put into these. I mean, we've got a mainframe face that maximizes distance performance all the way across the face. We've got all that technology, well, why as well use it? So we put full face grooves that are going to create consistent spin performance and consistent launch performance to go along with all of that built-in forgiveness to overall create an iron that for a player that struggles will really help them on any sort of strike.
And full face grooves is incredibly unique, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. This is going to be the first time you're seeing this in an iron set industry-wide. And we've also added an alignment system on there to make it easy to align. So one line that helps you put the ball in the center of the face and one line that'll help you square up with the target. So even with the full face groove technology, you're not going to have any issues aligning with your target with these irons. Also a large hybrid iron design, low center of gravity, easy launch. I mean, put these things in your hand, they're going to be as easy to hit
they're doing
as
it right here.
Absolutely.
Try. That's the benefit of being lucky enough to be here.
For sure. And similar glide rail technology to the other woods, which you'll see on some of the long irons, transfers into a V-shaped sole, and then very similar to, which we'll get to in a bit, our smart sole, a 3-tiered sole on the short irons to get that wedge-like performance around the greens.
Yeah, I'm seeing ZipCore here on a 5-iron, which has always been wedges. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So our brand new ZipCore XL irons kind of combine the best of our distance technology and our wedge technology into one cohesive set. So this is going to be a very exciting new offering where the long irons will have our mainframe technology. So something featured in our ZX5 irons in the past. It's going to be a very distance-focused technology that's maximizing forgiveness, but also giving you that flight you're looking for in a long iron. Going into the short irons, then you're transitioning into that Zipcore, which you know from our CBX wedges, our RTX wedges, is really that spin-creating, consistency-creating technology, where you've got that unique pin in the hosel that's going to be creating that consistent performance. So every iron is going to perform exactly how you want it to. If you've got a 7-iron, you've got the distance and forgiveness technology built for you there, as well as the pitching wedge and on up. You're going to have Zipcore technology and technologies like HydroZip all the way throughout the set, which is something we feature on our wedges as well.
Yeah. Let's go into the wedges.
Sure.
CBX4s.
Yeah, so CBX4 is the upgrade from CBX Zipcore, an exciting new offering. We think cosmetically the best one of these we've ever made.
Beautiful.
And it's really in a category that we're trying to get players to chuck that blade wedge. You know, you're not getting the consistent performance that you can get out of a cavity back wedge by having your grandpa's blade wedge still in the bag, right? We've got a whole bunch of benefits that come with this, including the new leading edge bounce chamfer, which you can kind of physically see there. It's going to reduce that digging at any sort of contact. A wide sole design, but still a very versatile chassis. So we're transitioning from a V-shaped sole in the gap wedges to an S-shaped in the sand wedges, and then a C-shaped in that lob wedge. So even though you're getting a very forgiving sole design, you're still getting something you can open and get a little bit versatile around the greens. So that packed with our Zipcore technology, as mentioned in the irons, and a design that really maximizes forgiveness. We think we've got a bunch of forgiveness within a really appealing package for players that maybe haven't made that transition from a blade wedge yet. To do so this generation.
Probably the hardest thing with this wedge is checking your ego with your blade wedge,
For sure.
And giving this a chance,
For sure, and I think this generation we've upgraded the cosmetic. At address, you're going to have problems figuring out which is a blade wedge and which is this wedge, right? It's not a super oversized profile. Sure, a little bit bigger than your traditional blade, but still a very, very player appealing profile. And in the bag, it's going to combo extremely well with whatever player's distance or game improvement irons you might have to really create a cohesive set, both cosmetically as well as transition well with the appearance of address. So we really take a lot of focus into all of our lofts, starting with the lowest being a 44, which is also pretty unique to the industry.
To a 64.
To 60 degree, 60
one,
degree in the 60 in that one. RTX Full Face 2 goes to 64.
Wow.
Yeah, so with the CBX though, we're ensuring that those gap wedges really blend well with the irons, right? If you're going to replace a pitching wedge with a specific wedge design from Cleveland Golf, we want to make sure it transfers well with your irons instead of standing out and looking like you went to a sand wedge in a 46. When you get into the sand wedge and lob wedge lofts, it's a lot more traditionally wedge-like.
Casey, with all this technology, I'm going to set you up here. It's not going to do you any good if you don't take the time and get fit for this. Right? Talk about the importance of fitting.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of online selection tools that can try to help to put you into the right club, and we want to make sure you're in the right category. But going and seeing a fitter, getting put into the right shafts, the right length, the right lie angle, as well as the right club type for your game is really key for any sort of player that's looking to improve. And at Cleveland Golf, we also think specifically in the wedges that you should not only be in the right wedge grind, but the wedge type for your game. So whether it's the CBX, the Smart Sole Full Face, which we've got 4 new offerings of, or you're a better player who's looking for an RTX or an RTX Full Face line, going to see a fitter, getting all these clubs in your hand and getting firsthand experience before you make a purchase is always ideal.
You heard it there, the importance of fitting. Get into one of our Worldwide Golf retail locations and get custom fit, or you can also shop at worldwidegolf.com. Casey, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy the show.
Will do.
It's gonna be
You
a
as
fun
well.
one.